no team given this summer is in a more impossible situation with them because they were on the ice. They were terrible last season. Like 25th in goals for, second to last in goals against, second to worst power play, 26th in penalty kill. They had all of the who's the coach? Does this coach work? They kind of had two coaches at various points last year. Just a real mess. And then after really, I would say, an encouraging start to the offseason, experience absolutely unspeakable tragedy that is not going to leave them when this season starts, when this season ends, will always kind of be a part of this team's story. So if there is ever a team for which we should all root, and we root for these guys anyway, it's the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Yeah. I mean, it's, obviously the losing Johnny Gaudreau is unfathomable. And then at some point you have to turn to hockey, like the unfathomable part of like the tragedy itself. And then you turn to hockey and you're like, oh, this team also lost one of their best players, which sucks on top of already sucking to a millionth degree. And
this will also affect the hockey. There isn't going to be a game or a moment or anything that there isn't either a tribute taking place or something, and all of those things should be happening. But even down to sitting on the bench with your teammate, looking over at them, and you'll undoubtedly see a patch or something like this. The challenge that these players face, I think, is really obvious, but I wonder if people are going to overlook that at points. Like I will give this team or any player on the team any pass, excuse, whatever you want to say. If this shit's too hard this season, that's the most understandable thing in the world. Having said that, I will be thrilled if this team improves quite a bit from what they were on the ice last year, because Gaudreau will also be part of that.
Yeah, right. Like it could go one of two ways. Like it could be extremely difficult. It could be impossible to move past for a lot of these guys. It could also be like an inspirational, motivating thing to like play for the Gaudreaus and have that be something that actually pushes them a little bit. And, it's impossible to know which way it's going to go. I'm sure there's going to be elements on both sides of it. But I mean, when you just boil it down to just like the straight roster and the hockey, I think that there's kind of like only up for this team, you would think, in terms of how much talent they have there that is young, that is still developing. And like you say it a million times, you said it a million times last year, you like the roster.
It's such a likable roster.
Yeah.
Young guys, old guys that you like. They signed JVR, not to a PTO. They signed JVR. You sent it in our group text. You were like, JVR to the Blue Jackets. And I was like, I knew they'd give him a PTO. And you were like, they gave him a contract. Fuck yeah.
Hey, thanks for watching the channel.
We appreciate everybody who checks out our stuff, but 80% of our viewers are not actually subscribed to this page, so if you could smash that subscribe button, it would go a very long way for us.
The more subscriptions we have, the more visibility we get from YouTube, which allows us to do more.
So press that button. Thank you. Also, JVR, like, not that bad. Not what he once was, but I don't know.
He was serviceable last year. Lost a little bit of steam with the injuries halfway through the year. But like, I think for a team that needs veterans, and for like what JVR brings, I don't hate the ad. I would also like to see them sign Phil Kessel. Like,
would love that.
Would love to see Phil Kessel in Columbus.
I'll say like JVR or a Phil Kessel, like those are guys who have obviously played bigger roles in the past, but they're veterans who can score a few goals and balance a bottom six. This bottom six is going to be lousy with future offensive stars just because they have so many young, really good forwards. So somebody, whether it's like a Voronkov or I don't know, like I don't think Caden Lindstrom's making the team this year. He's probably going to go back and he'll come next year. But like players like that, Chinnikov, will dip down into the bottom six at points. So having a JVR with them, or if they do go get a Phil Kessel or something like that, it will help. And I don't know, like look at their centers after getting Sean Monahan, who we had on the show, lovely guy. Monahan is Fantilli a center this year? I
Hopefully,
hope. Make him the second line center. Cole Sillinger, they are promising down the middle. Sean Corrali is kind of set it and forget it, good fourth line center. And then you sprinkle in the rest of those guys around him. Kirill Marchenko, we absolutely love. Still 24. Voronkov, still 24. Kent Johnson, Cole Sillinger, 32 points last year in 77 games. Does that go up to 45 points? Does that go up to 50 points? Fantilli, second season in the league. All these guys, the way I phrased it with the Sabres was really stupid. I said the young guys are going to be, I said most of the young guys are going to be older this year. Famously, all people are going to be older than they previously were.
Their older group is getting younger this year. It's going to be really big for them.
I watched that clip back and I was like, what an idiot I am, and I just hope you two weren't listening.
I get the
like the sentiment behind it.
Yeah, especially when the big complaint against the Sabres is that they're a childish team. You're saying, well, they're not as childish as they once were.
And I think the meaning behind it, when I say like most of their young guys are going to be a year older than, I think what I mean is the young guys that we care about are going to be more experienced. And so I'm only talking about most of them. I'm not talking about some young guys on the roster who stink, but Blue Jackets have a similar situation, and they also lost Patrick Laine and mentioned coaching situation last year. They have Dean Evison now, so that's interesting. They get Jordan Harris in the Laine deal. The
biggest thing here, I think, for me is the coaching. Like Dean Evison, I think I'm not totally confident in who or what he is as a coach. I am totally confident that he's better than Pascal Vincent.
You know who I really wish they got? I don't think we really... Oh, you know what? I did talk about this player for them last year. I wish they got Ullmark.
No.
I
would have loved Ullmark to Carolina.
Get a good goalie.
I would have loved to
get a good goalie.
Or just get rid of Merzlikins.
I was going to say...
that he's still there is crazy.
Otherwise... quote unquote solve the Merzlikins situation, because that's gonna, I feel like that's gonna be ugly as long as it's
gonna fester.
Wasn't that one of the first things that the new GM said, was that basically no one wants that contract?
Yes.
Yeah.
Don Waddell got there and was like, listen, I know he doesn't want to be here, but I don't think anybody else wants him there anywhere else, which is fucking hilarious. But I think the Blue Jackets are not going to be as bad as a lot of people expect them to be. I don't think they're going to be as bad as they were last year, but they are still a ways off.
They're still a ways off, but I hope they have a good, encouraging season, and I hope that their young players continue to improve, because they didn't even mention David Jiricek. Speaking of bad situations that could fester, last season there was a lot of, hey, what are you doing with me over here?
I think that one's easily solvable. You just fucking play him.
Play him the whole year. And
let him grow. Let him develop. Or at least be forthright with your plans for him. Because I think the thing with Jiricek last year was that they said that he was going to be on the team. He bought an apartment or rented an apartment.
Yeah.
And then was constantly going to Cleveland.
That's an easier thing to do with a new general manager and with a new coach. So again, there's a lot of things hockey-wise that can take a step forward this year for the Blue Jackets. But boy, it's going to be a heavy, heavy, tough season throughout the NHL, and the Blue Jackets players are absolutely going to feel every step of that. But as I mentioned, this is a rebuild that Johnny Gaudreau is still part of, because like all of these young guys who played with him are going to be doing it for him, and are going to, like, when this team arrives, Johnny Gaudreau is going to be a part of it, which will absolutely rock. And they've also got Stadium Series this year at Ohio State. That's going to be cool as shit. That's probably also going to be very emotional. But yeah, unabashedly pulling for the Blue Jackets this year, as I think really everybody is.
We all silly like the mayor.